2, 3, 4.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Power of Music Thinking. My name is Christoph Zürn, and this is the podcast for people with a musical heart and a wicked job. We're looking for stories, insights and tools from the big world of music to inspire leaders and followers to listen, tune, play and perform in whatever field you're operating. Can we be successful in more than one field? What about the multiple me's we have developed in different areas? Today we're in Finland. My guest is Ilkka Mäkitalo, musician, teacher, CEO, co-founder of Howspace, and conductor of Jyvaskyla Big Band. We chat about instruments, jazz, and how to inspire young talents to compose for a big band. And we talk about organizational memory, organizational learning, organizational dynamics, and how to change the world with a digital platform for facilitating dialogue in different contexts supported by AI. And we are talking about different meanings for AI when engaging people, like artificial intelligence, applied improvisation, and appreciative inquiry. And Ilkka shares his vision on leadership in a digital and remote world and how to grow an organization above 17 people and raise venture capital of about 12 million with strong cultural guiding principles. Ilkka, hello and welcome to the show.
Hello, it's great to be here with you.
Ilkka, let's get right into the first question. The power of music thinking is all about sounds, music, and performance. And my first question is, what was your first memorable performance or concert that had an impact on you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Trying to go back to history and think about the experiences. I think I started playing myself when I was 7, and my parents took me quite often to the concerts, all kind of concerts. And I remember some records from home. There was just a few records that time. You know, nowadays it's so different environment. There was like less than 5 records at home in total, and so those were listened a lot. And also there was like, I'm always been fond of jazz and like pop rock music, and in the Finnish radio there was 1 hour in a week playing that kind of music at that time. Like I'm thinking that nowadays when kids are growing, they have so much richer environment where to grow. But I think it might have been something related to classical music, actually. Maybe the local symphony orchestra, and feeling a bit uncomfortable sitting in the chair and listening something that was quite hard and still being inspired by the sound of the orchestra.
That's interesting. So sitting and being inspired by sound. So then that's interesting. So if it would have been a concert that you could stay as a child, might have been more convenient.
Yeah, that's right.
And I would be curious, you said about the 5 records. I really would be curious. Do you recall them, what the 5 were?
There was one kind of rock record that was Mud. I don't know if you remember. It was a British band. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a band from the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I think I saw them in concert in the 70s.
Okay. And then there was Lena Zavarotti, a young girl singing with great voice, and then there was one Latin orchestra playing like cha-cha-cha and that kind of music. Maybe those were the records. And then there was one from Reader's Digest, or what is the brand, of album of classical music.
Right.
A red box, a free course.
Oh, great! So it's to educate their readers.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, perfect. All right. Thank you, Ilkka. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background, who you are, and what you do for a living?
Yeah, thanks. So I could say that I've been talking one of my Dutch friends about multiple me's, and I think I can live several lives at the same time. So one side of my life is being a musician, and started with piano, then went to clarinet, and later on to saxophone, and studied classical music first, and then with the saxophone I ended up to a local big band in '70s, and started to enjoy that form of music, and since that time I've been active with big bands and been composing for big bands and also for professional theaters, but lately I've been mostly focusing on conducting bands. So I also do a bit of conductor training by myself, where I'm combining like different sides of my life that I'm going to tell now. And it's something that is like a really meaningful thing to do. And I'm conducting Jyvaskyla big band. That is a kind of semi-professional big band, really, really good band. And we have really unique profile in performing new music and do it with high standards. And then, like my real professional career is something else. So I started my career as a primary school teacher. So coming from educational sciences and of course specializing in music as well. But then when I started to work as a teacher, I first thought that, okay, it's something that you need to have to be able to live beside of doing music. But so it was something that my parents wished to have a safe life and not only to be a musician, that kind of assumptions and expectations from the family. But then when I started to focus on the work at school, then I was studying some more and find out like more involving, engaging pedagogics like collaborative learning, cooperational learning, and different traditions to learning, and we started to do things instead of read things. So we created animations and multimedia presentations and movies and musicals and had environmental projects, tried to change the environment around us. And
as a teacher, so you were very active as a teacher to really bring it across.
Yes, project-based learning and problem-based learning, and then when you start to do things differently, then other teachers are reacting that what the hell is that guy doing, and why those kids are running here and there, and why they are not following the discipline that we all others do have. Then I start to think, okay, the organizational change is something that I got curious about. So how could I help others to do something similar to me, and how the whole school could be different kind of school, and that was early 90s, and that time there was a lot of freedom in Finnish famous school system. So the curriculums were school-based, so not national as they often are. So we had a lot of freedom how we are doing things, how we are organizing our way of working. And then I started to study some more about understanding organizational dynamics and systemic thinking, and further education about educational sciences. Got familiar with action research and narrative research and so on, so qualitative methods, and then started to train other teachers and also schools and school districts how the pedagogical change could move forward. And then I've been always interested in technology, and when I was at school, I thought that, okay, how can we like do reverse curriculum by not following the plans, but co-creating the plans and documenting them as an organizational memory.
Oh, wow.
So working and planning as a team, and then I created a kind of simple platform like for organizational memory, where we are planning, reflecting, sharing all the best practices that teachers next year can utilize. That was pre-internet time. And then I believe
was it? Sorry to interrupt, but was it digital already?
Yeah.
All right. It was pre-internet, so you had it on floppy disks, or how did you do that?
We had Macs at school, and we had Apple Talk network, local network, and then I was using HyperCard.
All right, that's the beginning in the 90s.
yeah. So that was the platform, and also I thought that kids should not be graded with numbers, because it's like it's too much judging, and we started to use like verbal and written feedback instead of grading them. And then I created another software for that purpose. So how can you easily create like qualitative evaluation and use that as a certificate?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, did it help that you had a musical upbringing, or your experiences music? Was this the way of thinking, or is this a coincidence?
I think it was somehow related to music. So how I started with computers, there was like several different paths, but I started to use notator in Atari. That was a sequencer, and it was able to print scores as well. And by that I got more and more familiar with computers. But this journey then through the teacher thing and teacher training then led to the utilization of technology in a way that when we were organizing teacher trainings, and we were with my colleagues, we were really good getting people inspired, and then it often happened that they came to the first training session 3 days together, and then there was like another session for 3 days, and the third one.
Okay.
In the first period and session, they were so inspired that we are going to change the world, and then they went back as individuals back to their schools, and when they came back to the next session, they were like, "Oh my God, this is impossible, and we cannot do it." And everyone was like saying the same thing. So we were like losing energy and so on. And for that purpose, we created the first platform in 97, where it was based on like action research, how we are exploring the change in our community at our own school. And then we had like distributed teams. So these individuals who were participating, those who had same interests, they then started a team, and then we had a platform where they shared their plans and experiences and reflections, so they could support each other even they didn't have local support for the change. And that was like game changing. Like, now it was before e-learning word was established, and it was like exploration, collaboration kind of thing, teamwork, in a way that was really changing their lives.
And let's just double check. We now have 2021. We're in the 21st century, and still there are the sea level talking about the same issues that you in 1997, as you said, already. Let's say again. So.
Yeah. So if I jump to what I do today, so I open this talking with multiple me. So there's like this nerd in me, so the technology. There's this teacher and consultant and facilitator, and then there's a conductor and musician. And so we founded, based on these first experiences, a company called HUMAP in 99. And from the day one, we had technology department in there, or one guy in the beginning, of course, creating the platform, and we were way too early, as you can imagine, in the market. And and Howspace, that is the name of my current company. It was a spin-off from HUMAP, happened in 2008. And during these 22 years, we have created something like 40 different tools to make impact for human beings and human systems, organizations and networks and so on. And now we are only focusing on Howspace. That is a platform for facilitating dialogue in different contexts, supported by AI. And it's like a perfect tool for those who are willing to change the world, making organizational changes or organizing workshops or interactive events and so on. So that's like the job that we are focusing on.
Yeah, and you're very successful because Howspace is based in Helsinki, and as far as I've read, you got some funding. I think only a month ago. Can you tell us a little bit more about this? And how many people are working at Howspace?
Yeah. So we raised our A round in the beginning of May. That was 12 million. When we started to focus on Howspace 4 years ago, we were 7 people. A bit more than a year ago, in the beginning of 2020, we were around 20. Today, we are about 65.
Wow, big growth.
Yeah, quite.
Also people.
Yeah. And, because of the pandemic, I haven't ever met like majority of my colleagues.
All right. That's an interesting aspect as well. So how can you, how do you do the interviews? How do you decide who would be an added value to your company and would help where you're working on? How do you do this?
My understanding about organizations and human systems, it's based on the idea of pretty flat organizations. You could talk about teal organizations, but we are not like following some kind of guidelines. We are like doing what we believe in.
Okay.
And I think that organization is like an organism. So it's living, it's splitting the cells in a way that it needs. So I'm not in the center of like recruiting and so on. It's done by the teams when they recognize that now we need some more help, and so they are then growing their teams and so on. So it's quite natural way. And when teams are too big, then they split themselves and focus on different issues. So like I believe in that kind of natural development of human systems.
We're talking about multiple me's, and one is the conductor of a big band, which are more or less 16, 20 people around there. So is this the size of the teams?
Yeah, actually, I had a dilemma for years and years that I was never able to grow the company above 17 people. It always like stopped there. So it was, now I have the band and I cannot go forward. I think 17 is already quite a big one. And for example, I always try to kind of cross-pollinate the things from music and from the business about leadership and organization structures and so on. So the band that I'm leading is quite self-directed. So like sections are like teams. So for example, there might be like 10 saxophone players in the town who could be playing in the band. So they self-organize themselves that who are playing in this concert. They organize their sectional rehearsals, and I don't touch to that process. So I'm just leading the self-directed teams.
That's interesting. I like the analogy, but what comes up now as we speak is when they, talking about the saxophone sections. This would mean you don't have a diverse team. You have, let's say, only the saxophone players, or only the violins, or only the trumpets. But I assume that your teams are multi-directional. So that might be a different, right?
Yeah. In business, we try to avoid silos and thinking that you are just in one team.
Yeah.
So we try to let everyone flourish and do the things they love. And you are not forced to just follow a work description that was done by someone else. And the structures that we currently have in place in Howspace are that we have regions and then we have functional teams. And so you have the region where you have the shared customers, so you are talking about what customers do need, whether you are in marketing, sales, or CSM, and so on. And then in the functional team, like sales team, then you are developing the processes and learning from each other and learning from other markets and so on. And then people can be like some people who are working in marketing, they have some customer cases, like the customer success managers, so that they know what is happening in order to do marketing well. So this kind of jumping over the fences here and there is more than allowed.
I think that's interesting because when I look, let's say 5 to 10 years back, a lot of companies went not to Finland but to Sweden to learn from Spotify how they are organized, and this was for me really a heads up from hang on, banks or what other companies go to a company that is related to music, or you could also say data or anything else, but music was their theme, and they learn from them how they organize. So I think that's a really interesting one. Does this refer in any way how you are working? Are you also working in comparable ways, and is this then to give it a mark or a name more the Nordic way, and this different to other companies, other countries?
I think what I think is similar with the band and with the company is that we are both really mission driven. So there's things that we would like to achieve, and it's not like it's not material. It's more like the spirit of what we do and how we do things. And for example, with the band, I said that we have a unique profile, and it's about encouraging young talents to compose for the band.
Interesting.
So we have at least one concert a year where we are inviting and even trying to get funding for the young talents to write their first piece for big band. And then we are coaching them, we are encouraging them, they are visiting the rehearsals so that they hear how it sounds, and there's some sparring about you could use some mute for the trumpets, or you could duplicate these things, and there should be some sky visible in the score, so that it's not fully written as you can imagine that the first pieces might be way too heavy for the band and that kind of things, and then you can imagine like young musicians having a new instrument and hearing quite a good band playing the music. It's really inspiring, and quite many of them has then been writing for us and other bands a lot of music, even their own concerts, and have done international careers and so on. And we've done this for almost 20 years now, so there's like more than 100 compositions that we have written for us, and a huge amount of composers that has been affected by our approach. And it's really inspiring, even, it's not always like perfectly written from the perspective of musicians, but it's always interesting, and then we are encouraging everyone to find their own voice. So we are not giving them examples that you should sound like these writers, but try to find your own way of doing things. And then in Howspace, we have really strong cultural guiding principles that what kind of world are we willing to build, and because Howspace is used for transformation and change, for for human systems, we would like to be an example by ourselves. So how we work together should be something that Howspace as a product could be helping others to achieve as well.
It really resonates with me also that you choose, and I think there might be a story behind it, because if you go from the why, how, what, you focus on the how.
Yes.
And in the last years, everybody's talking about why or purpose, and some people still don't get what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And with the what, we have everything that we can ship and market to everyone. But there's a big space in between, to use your words, and to how do you do this? How can you bridge the why to the what? And I think in what you just said, I heard a lot of why, but without the name, purpose, or why. It's just like how you are organized, and that you made this even as a product. So that's interesting to hear more, a little bit about that.
Yeah. So something that we had to be humble with and kind of unlearn is that, when you as a consultant and facilitator and expert, you believe in something, you have certain methods that you love to use and so on. So when we also came from that background and started to create software, in the beginning we thought that we know the truth and we create a technology to support that, then we just educate everyone else that do like we do, and that will give you good results. But then we realized that no one is interested about how we do things, but they are interested how they do things and what they believe in. So instead of educating the market and telling that this is how you should be working, we went like to the meta level of different methodologies, like workshop methods and facilitation tools and so on. And personally, I've been training facilitators and running like hundreds of workshops or thousands of them. And then by that, I understand what are the ingredients, the elements of different methods. So in Howspace, we went to that meta level and created the components that you can drag and drop to your pages and create your own way of working and digitalize it. So that you are not following like ready-made paths, but you can make your own dreams come true by creating something that you can then duplicate and share and utilize. And another thing is that quite often people tend to move the things that are physical to the digital world. Mm-hmm. Like when you use flip charts and post-its, then you have a whiteboard where you have a digital whiteboard where you have post-its and all that. But it works. There's great tools in that area. And what can be do differently in digital world is, for example, that the experience that we can achieve in an in-person workshop with 10, 15 people, when we are adding technology and AI to that, we can change so much. So it can happen asynchronously. It can happen in different locations. With the support of AI, instead of 15 people, you can have 15,000 people in the process. And it still makes sense and have the same effect to the participants that I'm heard, we are creating something together. But if you try to do digitally like 15,000 people using post-its, no way, it's a chaos.
So it's really the scalability also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe nice to explain to people that are not good in abbreviations like AI. If we're talking about music and we talk about AI, I would say it's applied improvisation,
Yeah.
but it's also artificial intelligence. Is there something? Are there two sides in this interpretation in Howspace?
So when we talk about AI, there's also appreciative inquiry. That is also one AI. That is one of the theories behind what we do. So starting from things that work and not focusing on negative things, because where you focus, that becomes important, and then that either gives you energy or takes your energy. And I think quite often when you are doing something around change, you are starting from the problems, not from the things that already work. And that's something we are also trying to promote, in a sense.
No, nice. I try to visualize. I've seen Howspace, because we don't show something because this is a podcast. I try to, let's say, how people can understand what it is. So it's a platform where you log in and you can configure this platform with questions, with a video, and then people would do things like they would do what they did the last year with programs like Miro or Mural or any other whiteboard, and they would in a workshop together or asynchronous, so meaning one is doing one thing at one day and someone else on another day. And then the big thing is, how do you bring this together? And as far as I've understood, then there is some kind of artificial intelligence that can read these words and bring them together. And, I say some kind of word cloud or some kind of summary. And is this the way how it works?
Yeah, so I think we have pretty strong kind of process approach. So we are focusing on people, the cohorts that are working together, and then the process design. So it's not just one workshop, it's not just one training session. It's the whole process that can be like a short one or even years long. So it can be an organization change project. Just a simple example could be that where we started actually with the Howspace, that okay, there's a video from the management where they are inviting people, not telling, not giving orders, but inviting them to co-create something together. So that okay, we feel that we need to renew our values, or we would like to hear how you see the market developing, because you are working with the customers and we are here quite far away from the customer contact. So please help us to bring the information that you have, and we are listening to you. We are really eager and curious to hear your voice. Then you can design the process that are you willing to hear teams? So give voice for the teams and local dialogue, or individuals, or how you are like facilitating the dialogue. Who is speaking, who is listening, and what are the terms in there. So in a simple, smaller cases, it might be that it might be teams. So every team is invited to watch the management video together, discuss locally, and write what they think as a team. And what I believe about organization cultures is that it's co-created in local discussions, discussion by discussion. And as a manager, you can never capture that, because when you enter the room, it changes the dialogue.
Yeah, right.
And if you make a survey, it's individual voices, not the dialogue. And by that you can enter, and because you were curious and you invited people, you are welcome also to do some interventions, to ask more questions, to suggest something, and so on. So you can think about W thing, that something starts from the top, goes down, then comes back to top and goes back downwards. So having this kind of organizational dialogue going through the organization, and people think that okay, we co-created the strategy, we did it, so there's no need for implementation because it was co-created.
Okay, that's a big difference compared to other change projects. What about things like trust? And and you literally give people a space, and what you just said, a local space to discuss. But there's also the AI, and some people would say hang on, I don't know how I can trust the system. If I say something, maybe later CEO or who else knows that I was the one, and if it's a good thing, you want everybody to know that you are the one. If it's something critical, you would not like to share it immediately.
Yeah,
Is this an issue you are dealing a lot? And by the way, it's also to add on that one part. It's also the basics of improvisation. If you don't feel safe in your group, you cannot improvise very good.
Yeah,
Then you
yeah,
just play what you know because it's
yeah,
safe,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the audience would say, "From this was not spectacular." So I
yeah.
see there indeed
Yeah,
a parallel.
yeah, exactly. So, because I mentioned that we are in the meta level and we build the elements for the processes. So, as a designer of the process, facilitator, leader, whatever is your role, you can decide that okay, this will be done anonymously, or we are using the team voice instead of individuals, or you cannot see others' comments before you have answered yourself, or you see just your own answers, or it's all transparent with the name and face and so on. So you can cover the whole variation. So how ready your organization is for transparency. And we know that there's different cultures in different organizations, different countries, and we as developers of the software, we need to like let people follow where they are, and it might be encouraging them to be more transparent in the next process and so on. So there has to be that kind of scalability for different cultures. And then we think that AI is helping people to meet each others and understand each other. So our AI is not communicating like bots with
Yeah.
individuals. It's like making it visual that what we think together. And then you can explore like having different profile information that, okay, show me summary about what composers in Germany are thinking about this, or what musicians in UK are thinking about this, and what kind of themes there is popping up. And then it's all real time, so it's not like reporting, it's part of the process. So while we are even in real time moments, let's say that we have 500 people not listening to a presenter, but thinking together. So everyone is writing what they think or sharing their experiences. Then the word cloud or summaries, they are appearing and changing constantly, and then they are active. So if you think that, okay, I'm really curious about that collaboration, so click the word, you get the filtered version of the chat, and then you can discuss about collaboration. And then the theme cluster is having like a bigger vision that is not word based, but it's there's trained models about different themes, and also untrained, unsupervised models that are created on the fly. So even with 15,000 participants, everyone can find the area of the dialogue, so discussions within the discussions that you can dive in.
Oh, it's also like analyzing. So it's also not only for the people who organize it. So everybody could do this filtering.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's very transparent. So it's not just that the people who set up the whole program. So everybody could see, like, maybe there's a certain word they would like to see. Does this come back? Or and everybody could see from, some other people are using it in the same way or maybe in a different way. That's in this sense, it's also good. We talked about learning and about teaching, which are two different things. Teaching is you tell other people how it is, and learning is you understand the difference. So people can, in this way, also learn how the culture is, instead of that the culture is teached to some people. People can understand from, oh wow, when I do this, this will happen in the organization. If I want to change, maybe I should change my behavior.
Exactly, and of course you can also decide that who is seeing the analysis. So it can be used for reporting and for organizers, or it can be active part of the facilitation of the process. And just today I was happily testing like new approaches that can be taught to machine learning algorithms. So everyone has seen word clouds, but normally they are just counting the words. But we have AI that is understanding the semantics and different versions of the same words, and understands more than 100 languages and so on. And now, because it has this kind of understanding, we will introduce perspectives to the word cloud. So is it focusing on things or descriptive way of using language? So like emotions and adjectives and so on. So you can have like different approaches to it.
Oh, wow.
And then when it's updating real time, now we are adding also algorithms. If you are liking things, they are coming bigger in the word cloud. So you collect ideas, and then you can rank those, and then you can see that those things are going showing up from there.
That's interesting. Also talking about language, and you said it's multi-language, but is it also multi-language in the same system, or do you have to choose one language?
It understands several languages at the same time, but then it's showing the results in one selected language that it recognizes as a main language.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I say this because I'm triggered on that part. We speak now English. That's not our first language, not yours, not mine. And I'm living in a country where I also not use my first language. And sometimes I realized when I hear myself back on recordings that in another language I'm using a little bit more words than I would use in my own language, because sometimes I need this extra half sentence to say something where I already know a word. And I'm living 21 years in the other country. There's still something where you're looking for words. So that's interesting to bring in that semantics. And to try to find words or descriptions about it to bring this further. There's another aspect that when we do change projects. Yesterday we did a workshop where we with a group first. Where we had two groups, and one group was working more on words and visuals, and the other group started more with sounds. And later we switched the groups, and then we had the discussion what was more easier to do, and people reacted to us and said, it sounds like sound would be more difficult to do, but the good thing is you can use a sound without a direct meaning. So you can just start and try to connect with each other in some sounding ways, and later you give it meaning. Instead, the other group, they started with the visuals, with the text, and then the sound was just some kind of audible wallpaper. So I also thought this might be also interesting, maybe not for Howspace, because I can understand for a program you would do certain things online in the system, distributed, but you could also support this with local workshops where you do different things and maybe load them up as a video or something else. Again, they're in the same system.
Yeah, we try to support like every possible way to collaborate. So as I mentioned, same time, same location, different location, and also giving possibilities to have online meetings in Howspace. So there's video conferencing inside Howspace as well. And what we are planning to do next autumn is also having like the stream of your meeting going to AI to be transcribed, and then going back to our current AI to visualize what we are talking about. So not writing things down, but in the end of the meeting, you could have like a summary of the meeting. And we have been like prototyping things like creating to-do lists or creating agendas. So for example, we did some things like we were planning our internal development days, and there's two questions about what do we need to focus on and what do we need to talk about, and based on that, then we created like prototypes about creating these kind of things. That okay, here's agenda, and it can also reserve certain amount of time based on how much we are talking about it, and so how important it looks like. or in the end of the meeting, you'd have the to-do list, and then you just confirm that, okay, sounds like that's what we talked about. So crazy things can be done, and even with the first test, I think the accuracy of these things, it was something like 80%. That it was already with quite limited teaching material for the machine learning. Mm-hmm. We were able to create quite relevant things.
I just wonder when, because different companies in different countries now are using this system.
Yes.
Is there any difference? And I say this because in the think tank where I'm working, we have something like Generation Co. And Generation Co is the generation that we think is now finally generated, because the baby boomers already had a different, or parts of the baby boomers had a different way to see the world, and the Generation X. So every generation has something that's in common and something that is conscious and conscientious. And I try to find out if these digital tools, to name it like this, are helping to shape more a co-creative mindset, or is there something where you say there's a certain, like, normally we'd say older people have more problems with digitization than younger people, which I think is just a hypothesis. But the question is, do you see on that level differences?
I think that, of course, there is some differences, but it's kind of an individual thing as well. So sometimes people, like I know many innovators who are already retired, and when they see Howspace, they can say that, oh shit, I should have been born 20 years later. That would have changed my life. So they are so thinking that I lost this possibility that you currently have with this kind of tools. So what I try to do myself is like slow down my thinking. I'm 57 at the moment, and I have a lot of experiences, and it's so easy to like judge new things that I've seen that and it doesn't work, and and that is like killing people around me if I do that way. But I always try to slow down and think that my first reaction is that no, this doesn't work. But is that true? What should I learn? The context is different than before.
Yes.
And so keeping my mind open to see the new possibilities and not to be judging anything at least too quickly. And this is something I try to preach also about, that please keep your minds open and be welcoming for new ideas and new ways of working. So try it out. It doesn't take that much energy and time if you are just giving it a chance.
Very good on that part. So that's sometimes the downside of experience, and I think the essence is you can't compare experiences in this way, because things that might not work before might work now because of technology, because of mindsets, because of everybody knows doing it, and that's also for me a thing. Like, I think every trend has a counter trend. So when we go more digital, we like to go more offline. And this was also during the pandemic. A lot of people went outside into the woods or into nature because they were really longing for something else that's not square, because everybody's sitting behind the computer. That's an interesting part. So what would be your, what's your current project for let's say Howspace? What are the goals for now?
So our mission can be described in a way that we would like to help individuals in organizations to enjoy not only their work but their life, and then organizations to let people to be themselves and flourish, and not to create structures where people are suffering. And how this can be done is having the best possible tools for creating the dialogue that is helping the organization to utilize the knowledge and skills of the people working in there. And that's like quite often restricted by hierarchies and power positions and all that traditions think that they have to do, even I think they don't have to do. So being more open-minded and more willing to listen to others. And when we see that this starts to work in organizations, then it seems to be spreading out to new areas like municipalities and even societies, and even how we are taking care of this planet.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to see, like in one case, there was like 500 schools writing, kids in the primary school level writing manifesto for the environment. That is a school environmental manifesto, and now there's like millions of trees that they have been, how do you say, put into the forest, and now we are working with multiple projects with the United Nations, where they are taking care of our planet in many senses, and how can we train our machine learning to help to solve the conflicts, even global conflicts, help people to understand each other's in a way that is helping in peace negotiations. Or I know that this is like a really high level goal, but so we are not just creating a business.
Yeah.
We are selling software. We are we have a higher mission.
Wow, that sounds really, really promising. And it also looks, or it sounds like your multiple me's are connected in that way, that there is no conflict, so that they help each other and go together. And I think that's an interesting one, talking about politics. So when we have the elections, and we just had elections in the beginning of the year, and in Germany there are also elections, and we know how long it takes until a new government is formed. So I also see, just thinking out loud, something. We could try to think about how this could be changed, or for projects, local projects, and bring people together where you already know that there are different ways of different perspectives on the same thing. But as a matter of fact, you have to work together, and you have to do something to bring it further. So, and what are your plans for the big band?
So we have not been able to play since last September.
Yeah.
So dreaming about having a concert. Now we are planning to have a concert in July, and there will be a soloist coming from the States and a local choir, and we are going to do Rhapsody in Blue from Gershwin.
Wow.
And this Jyvaskyla big band, it had last year our 50th anniversary, and we were planning to have a big concert to celebrate that, but it was cancelled. So looking forward to have something like that in the near future.
That's a tradition, 50 years of the big band. When in what year are we when Howspace is 50?
So we started in 2008. With the big band, I started as a conductor in 95, so 26 years, so more than half of the band's history.
All right. So thank you very much, Ilkka, for sharing your company insights, your personal insights, and also your musical insights. If people would like to connect with you, how should they do this?
I'd love that, and maybe LinkedIn is the best way to do it. So please send invitations and messages through that.
And maybe I will put everything, all the emails and all the LinkedIn links into the show notes.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you very much.
Thanks,
and
Christoph.
Yeah, we wish you luck with the Howspace.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate this because listening is one of the top leadership skills, and I feel honored about this. It is my mission to find, create, and share inspirations for meaningful collaboration based on music analogies. If you want to support this, please subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating, or write a review on iTunes or Spotify. And more inspirations can be found on musicthinking.com. We have a blog, and you can download the Music Thinking Framework. And finally, I would love to hear your feedback. And if you need help with a business challenge, please reach out to me via email podcast@musicthinking.com.